Have you ever wondered what goes into cloning an expensive fragrance for 50 bucks? Well, you've come to the right place because today we're starting a new series called Clone Breakdowns. Here we reverse engineer popular fragrance clones from the original DNA, level by level, note by note, so we can uncover the cost-cutting secrets, strategic substitutions, and trade-offs that make a clone succeed or fail. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to Common Sense Fragrance Demystified, and today we're going to be doing 9pm by Afnan. Now, if you're a fragrance head, you'll likely already know that 9pm is one of, if not the most popular clone fragrances for the notorious lady killer extraordinaire, Ultra Male by Jean-Paul Gaultier. We're going to be breaking down the DNA starting from the top of the note pyramid, swapping each original note for 9pm's version as we move down, and for every swap, I'll be explaining the reason behind the substitution and the effect it has on the overall scent. Finally, I'll give you a full-fledged review of 9pm as a standalone fragrance. Now, in true common sense fashion, before we get into the actual breakdown, we need some more context to better understand the why behind some of these substitutions. Afnan is a Middle Eastern house cloning a French fragrance, meaning the core philosophies are going to be inherently different. Generally speaking, French perfumery values artistry, complex structure, and technical execution for fragrances in a more temperate or moderate climate, while Middle Eastern perfumery is built for impact, longevity, and value in a hot climate. Now, the question for Afnan wasn't how do we make this bolder, it was how do we take this existing bold DNA, strip away the complexities, and supercharge it at a fraction of the cost. Let's see how they did it. Okay, here I have the Common Sense Note Pyramid Builder and AI Analysis tool, which you can find at commonsensehq.com. This tool allows you to look up any fragrance note on the sidebar here and drag and drop it to the different levels of the note pyramid on the right, and then generate a detailed breakdown of the fragrance composition with our integrated AI analyzer. Now, for our purposes today, we're simply going to be using it as a visual tool, but you can feel free to explore the full feature set on your own. So here's the starting point, Jean-Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. Let's begin with the top notes, then we'll get into the full breakdown. Ultra Male opens up with a sophisticated, playful, fruity opening. Pear, lemon, mint, lavender, and bergamot. It's fun, but it's constructed, where each note has a specific job. Now, what 9pm does is it takes this three-note accord, pear, lemon, mint, and replaces it with green apple. Green apple strategically does all three of their jobs in one. A general fruitiness of the pear, a touch of tartness from the lemon, and a cool green freshness from the mint. While the nuances from the three-note accord will be lost here, the overall vibe of the DNA is still being preserved. Now, there's also a fascinating flavor association at play. By choosing green apple, they're tapping into one of the world's most popular candy flavors. This transforms Ultra Male's subtle three-note accord into something universally recognizable, accessible, and fun. A direct candy-like sweetness that requires no translation or interpretation. It's easy to like and doesn't require much thought, kind of like eating candy. Next is where the most interesting shift in the DNA happens. The cinnamon in the heart of the Ultra Male DNA is promoted to the top. Cinnamon's an interesting note because it has the bright, spicy sparkle that allows it to act as a top note, but also the deep and woody characteristics that allow it to be a heart or even a base note. In the top, the cinnamon works really well with the green apple to create a sort of apple pie accord, while also providing a warm counterbalance of the cool, herbaceous lavender, and rounds out the bright citrus bergamot with a dry, woody spice. Now, in terms of the Ultra Male DNA, the cinnamon was really important here in the heart for incorporating the caraway, which is a challenging, spicy, licorice-like note, as well as the clary sage, which is more of an herbaceous, earthy, and woody note. Now that the cinnamon is gone from here, the perfumer for 9pm decided to make an executive decision. Scrap the original heart of the fragrance entirely and convert it into more of a supportive, bridging element between the top and the base, rather than having it as a standalone level. This was achieved by removing both notes and replacing them with two white floral notes, orange blossom and lily. Lily of the valley. And that's it for the heart. Now onto the base notes, where you can see another cost-saving method being deployed. Ultra Male originally used a black vanilla husk note, while 9pm uses a plain vanilla note. Now, I think this is a perfect opportunity to go beyond the bottle and take a little bit of a detour into the world of vanilla before we get back into our breakdown. Now, black vanilla husk implies the use of a natural, complex extract of the whole cured bean and husk, such as vanilla absolute or a high-quality CO2 extract. In the world of high-end perfumery, natural vanilla is the second most expensive spice on earth, trailing only saffron. The reality in history in Madagascar, where 80% of our vanilla is born, is unfortunately a very grim one. For centuries, vanilla could only grow in Mexico because it relied on a specific species of bee, the Melipona bee, that was the only pollinator capable of fertilizing the vanilla orchid. This made vanilla one of the world's most exclusive and expensive spices. Everything changed when a 12-year-old enslaved boy named Edmund Albius discovered how to hand-pollinate vanilla in 1841. Using just his thumb and a small stick, he figured out how to lift the rostellum, a thin membrane separating the male and female parts of the flower, and gently press them together. This simple but ingenious technique finally made it possible to cultivate vanilla anywhere in the world without relying on Mexico's bees. The French saw an opportunity. They took Albius's technique, brought the Mexican orchid halfway across the world to Madagascar, and enslaved millions of people to build their vanilla empire using the very method a child slave had discovered. To this day, France maintains a neo-colonial stranglehold on the nation, having socially engineered the population to become the world's best vanilla farmers, a country still subject to constant foreign meddling. And given the state of the world economic system, the people of Madagascar are essentially trapped into assuming the bottom position of the vanilla supply chain. And because natural vanilla can cost more than silver per kilo, it's become a prime target for violent gangs, where farmers are often forced to live in their fields for months, arming themselves to defend their livelihoods from thieves. Now you might be asking yourself, why is it so expensive? Well, that's because it's one of the most complicated crops on the planet. Every single flower must be hand-pollinated during a tiny 6-hour window on the one day a year it blooms. Literally a single day. Miss that window and the flower dies without producing a bean. And the technique Edmund Albius discovered? It requires incredibly delicate precision. If you pull too hard or too fast, the flower literally crushes itself and can't produce a bean. This is why, to this day, every vanilla bean in the world is still hand-pollinated using this method. So when Afnan's 9pm uses a synthetic ethyl vanilla molecule, they're able to save money by opting out of this entire high-stakes supply chain. It's effective, cheaper, and more consistent. But the final product lacks this earthy, woody soul, that multi-dimensional complexity that only natural Madagascar absolutely provides. As a result, the perfumer Gail Montoro chose to add tonka bean as a well-placed substitute. Tonka bean is one of the most popular and versatile ingredients in modern perfumery, primarily because of its rich, sweet, and incredibly complex scent profile. Since they lost out on depth and nuance from the expensive vanilla extract, tonka bean replaces it with a sweet, warm, nutty but earthy scent profile. It's richer, drier, and more powdery than vanilla, making for a really good combination as well as substitution. Ultramil also uses cedar wood, but this is not present in 9pm. Now, while tonka bean does have an earthy, almost woody scent profile, it's definitely not enough to match the strong woody backbone of cedar wood in the original. So overall, the DNA for 9pm is more of a powdery and sweet take, as opposed to a more mature, woody, and aromatic approach in Ultramil. The other two notes, patchouli and amber, remain. Now that we've pulled the DNA apart, let's get into the actual experience of wearing 9pm in the real world. But before we get into it, just a heads up that this review is available in blog post form on my website, www.commonsensehq.com, where you can get even more important information about the fragrances, as well as play with some cool interactive components and explore the rest of the site's features and content. This, without a doubt, is a party fragrance. It can cut through the cigarette smoke, cold air, and room full of whatever other smell. It's sweet, flirtatious, and creates a massive scent bubble. Performance-wise, 9pm actually outpaces the modern formulation of Ultramil. We're talking several hours of projection after application, and it can linger on clothes for days. I have a general rule of not recommending number of sprays, as I find it to be something you should find out what works for yourself through experience. Now, in terms of the ladies' reaction, it's a certified compliment magnet. You may or may not have heard of the terms panty dropper or boxer dropper, but this is a certified panty dropper, as women typically love sweet, fresh, masculine, and mass appealing fragrances, okay? They're not so into things like Creed Aventus and Dior Sauvage as much as you'd think. The verdict. So if you're a student or a young guy hitting the club scene and you're looking for that seductive, sweet DNA, I would say Afnan's 9pm for $40 is a no-brainer 10 out of 10 choice. This is going to garner far more attention from the women than, let's say, a Dior Sauvage or a Creed Aventus at a fraction of the cost. It is a 2D caricature, but at a party, no one's going to be looking for nuance. They're looking for a whole vibe. We can officially claim Afnan's 9pm as demystified. Okay, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd rather I do Rayhan Elixir next for my next clone breakdown, or Club de Nuit Intense Man. I know this dead horse has been beaten to death, but I feel like I could provide a unique opinion, and I would be talking about other Creed Aventus clones in comparison. Or if you have any other clone fragrances in mind, I do have a big collection of Middle Eastern fragrance clones, so feel free to suggest down below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more fragrance breakdowns and educational videos. And feel free to head over to www.commonsensehq.com. Thanks, and smell you next time.